Okay, so welcome to session 11 in our discussion. And the way you have to approach the entire corporate reporting, financial reporting examination is to position yourself in such a manner that consolidated financial statements, all other things being equal, becomes like the last question you're going to be approaching in the exam hall, or probably the last but one question that you're going to approach in the exam hall. And that is my recommendation, as always, when it comes to the way you approach the exams. So, as you are preparing yourself during this revision period to be able to pass the examination, it is important that you take the topics and the questions by questions and know how to approach them. So, for those of you in the financial reporting class, there is going to be some theories in the exam hall. Corporate reporting also, there's going to be some theories in question 5 in the exam hall that you have to know about. So it is important you know about those theories very well. Now, what are these theories? Conceptual framework for general purpose financial statements. That is going to be in the exam hall, and it is important that you know that very well. Then there is going to be some theories on consolidated financial statements. About 95% possibility that we will have some theories on consolidated financial statement for 5 marks. So there are a lot of theories in consolidation. We're going to go through a couple of them today or this morning. It is important you understand them very well because there's a 5 mark question waiting for you in the exam hall, and that is done deal. Then we will have some theory questions even on the regular accounting standards. So whatever accounting standard it is, the examiner can get excited about it, and then we'll pick some theories and bring them in respect of the accounting standards. Then the last thing could be ethics. Corporate reporting students, 99.9% of the time, there is a question on ethics waiting for you, between 6 to 10 marks waiting for you in the exam hall. Financial reporting students, ethics is not something that the examiner gets excited about every time, but it is also something that you have to know about. So that is the first thing, taking out all the theory areas as we go into the exam hall. And in the exam hall, what you want to do is to position yourself in such a manner that you will be first able to answer those theory questions as fast as possible in the beginning. As much as you remember them, take them out first. After that, we know there is going to be question on ratios. So once you deal with those theories, you come to the ratios. So we know there's going to be question on ratios. Either we're going to do the calculation and analyze the financial statements, or the examiner will give us the ratios and we are going to be the ones to analyze the financial statement directly. And so it's a done deal area waiting for you in the exam hall. All you have to do is to perfect the act. Whether you like it or not, there is an interpretation of ratios waiting for you in the exam hall. So you have to perfect the act. Now, you don't perfect the act by just attending lectures, by just watching videos. You perfect the act when it comes to the ratios by writing the English, by participating, by solving questions and writing it and finding out that, oh, what I've written as compared to the marking scheme, how is it like? So analysis of financial statement is done deal. You want to make sure that you perfect that act very well. What are the principles? If it is a report, what should be the pro forma? If it is not a report, what should be the pro forma? Okay, how do I write out the analysis? If I'm dealing with the profitability ratios, then I need to start with revenue generation, asset turnover, come to gross profit margin, come to net profit margin, then I'll come to the ROSI. If I'm interpreting the ROSI, I have to make reference to revenue generation, asset turnover. I have to make reference to cost of sales, gross profit. I have to make reference to operating expenses, net profit margin. Then I have to make reference to movement in the capital employed. These are principles. Whether you like it or not, it's waiting for you in the exam hall. So your best bet is to perfect the act. For those of you in the corporate reporting class, there is an other element of ratio analysis, which is the cash flow interpretation. I'm going to be talking to you about that later on in our exclusive discussions from next week. But cash flow analysis, it's something that the examiner can throw at you. He brought it up, I think last 3 examination dates. So It's something that the examiner could either visit again. Then from there, financial reporting students, question 2 and question 3 will be on the accounting standards. So question 2 will be on dedicated accounting standards. Question 3 will be about financial statement preparation. Either we are going to be dealing with the cash flow statement or the statement of profit or loss, changes in equity, and statement of financial position. So it depends on whatever the examiner wants to bring. But everything in question 2 and question 3 is about accounting standards, and that is 40 marks on the accounting standards. So it means that you need to perfect the act when it comes to the accounting standards. How do you do that? Number one, understanding the principles. Number two, sitting down and solving a lot of questions. Because again, some of you think that by virtue of the fact that you attend a class, by virtue of the fact that you are watching questions being solved, means you understand it. No, there's a difference between you watching something being done and you doing it. So you have to sit down and solve questions on the accounting standards very well. 40 marks, done deal, waiting for you in the exam hall. Yes, what kind of accounting standards? I don't know. When you get to the exam hall, you ask the examiner. But we know non-current accounting standards are going to be there. So we have to perfect the act on IAS 16. Whether I like it or not, there is something about IAS 16 financial reporting students, done deal, waiting for you. IAS 12, income tax, who pay, won't pay, it is there. So your best bet is to make sure you know these two standards off head. In addition to that, the other non-current asset standards are going to be something you must know about. IAS 37, IAS 38, IAS 36, IAS 23, and all of the other standards. Make sure you perfect them, because about 2 or 3 of the non-current asset standards will be in the exam hall, dedicated, as well as finding itself in the notes for you to prepare the financial statement. So in the exam hall, between question 2 and question 3, you can choose based on the way you've read the questions, the standards that you are seeing, the structure of the question. You can determine which one you can do first. Then from there, you go to the question 1. Remember, usually in dealing with the exam generally, you cannot deal with everything, especially when you're preparing the final account and then when you're preparing the consolidated financial statement. You may not be able to finish with everything. So the goal is not necessarily to be able to extract the financial statement. If you get there, praise God. We love you. That is perfect. But the goal is not for you to be able to extract the financial statement. The goal is for you to be able to do the necessary workings by interpreting the accounting standards in your workings flow. Then question 1 is going to be on consolidated financial statement, which is what we're going to get into. Remember, like I said, the goal is not for you to extract the consolidated financial statement. That is not the goal. You don't get any marks for trying to outsmart the examiner and extracting financial statements. The goal is to be able to do the workings, to be able to do the various treatments that must be done when it comes to dealing with consolidated financial statements. And that means understanding the principles when it comes to consolidated financial statements, number 1. And number 2, it means that you practice a lot of questions to put yourself in the position so that you can pass the examination. So for financial reporting students, this is how the flow is going to be. Remember, even in consolidated financial statements, the accounting standards are going to chase you down there. For corporate reporting students, almost the same flow. We're going to have some theory questions on consolidation, some theory questions on the accounting standards, some theory questions on ethics. I've already said that. You take them out as fast as possible. Then you come to the ratios. I've already spoken about that. We're going to be having a question on that. Is done deal. Then you come to question 3, and that is either going to be business valuation or corporate restructuring and financial reorganization. One of them will be there for 15 marks. It means that you spend time to understand the principles very well so that whatever question the examiner brings, you are able to understand it and do it. Again, how do you achieve that? You only achieve that through understanding the principles, and number 2, sitting down and solving questions. That is the way you go. Once you are done with that, we're going to have a 25-mark question on the accounting standards in corporate reporting. The whole of question 2 and question 3A, I think so. It's going to be about accounting standards, and that is going to be spreading about 25% in the exam hall. What kind of standards are going to be here? All of those standards that we have dealt with in the financial reporting class, plus the level 3 exclusive standards, IAS 19, employee benefit, IFRS 2, share based payment. So, in addition to these exclusive standards, we can have the level 2 standards coming up, throwing at you for the 25 mark area. Then, suddenly, we come to question 1, and that is going to be consolidated financial statement. So, like I said, the goal is take out the written part, do perfect the act of the ratios, interpretation of financial statements, and do that. Then between business valuation, corporate reconstruction, it's not a miracle. It's not difficult. If you understand the principles well and expose yourself to a lot of questions, you will be able to pass the examination. Then the accounting standards. Spend time, sit down, understand the principles, and practice a lot of questions. You will be able to solve a lot of the questions there. And then certainly in the consolidated financial statement, the goal is to be able to do some simple workings and most importantly, be able to get some easy marks that will propel you forward to be able to pass the examination at the end of the day. So this is how your examination is going to be, and this is how you need to structure yourself out. I'm giving this out because I expect you to do the same in the mock examination. Friday for financial reporting students, Saturday for corporate reporting students. So in the mock exam, you want to make sure that you exhibit some of these things as you try to perfect the act at the end of the day. The last thing is going to be your timing. For most of you, and I've said this over and over again in other previous classes as well, time is going to be your enemy. You may fail the exam, not because you did not know, not because you did not understand, but it's because you were caught with time. So what you want to do, and I've told you this over and over again, and again to continue to do in the next 2 weeks, is to work within time. Whatever question you are solving, put a timer on it and try to challenge yourself to think as fast as possible. You can do it. So work on your timing, work on your ability to write your questions as fast as possible. Then when it comes to the written aspect of the questions, learn to stay within the ambit of the requirements of the question and stop writing useless things that you're not supposed to write. Like the ratio analysis, for instance, a lot of people write a lot of useless stuff. Stay within the ambit of the analysis. Don't over explain yourself. Keep it sweet, keep it simple, straight to the point. So I want to see you exhibiting this in the mock examination because time is going to be crucial for you to be able to pass the exam. So in the next 2 weeks, that is what I want you to work on if you truly want to pass the exam.